The next public playtest for Misfitz is right around the corner, and before you jump in, here are some things you need to know. The first tip to go over are the different new map changes. Everything in this update definitely makes things feel way more smoothed over and the game feel like it runs so much better. On the map, there are now 2 different places that I have found so far with moving pads. These little things will take you from one location to another, and they're both pretty close to each other. The first one moves side to side from 2 different buildings, and once you hop on, it'll just slowly move over and take you to the other side. I tested a few things like trying to fall in front of it to see if it would get you stuck on a building, but it looks like they made it so something like that can't happen. And then if we check out the other pad as well, this one is down by a boat, and this one moves up and down instead of side to side, so it does about the same thing, just doing the up and down motion to take you from point A to point B. I think this will definitely be an awesome change, and it's cool they're trying out a few new different things on the map to freshen it up and make it feel more exciting. There have also been a few different new areas added as well that weren't there previously. The main area that I'd like to talk about is down also towards the bottom of the map. You're now able to go down into a little dip area, and there is just a few more extra spots that you're able to run to. But this also added another new feature with the tunnel. When you go down into the little dip area, you can walk over to the side, and there's a tunnel you can now go through that takes you through under a road. So it's safe to say that Misfitz is definitely trying to spice up the map a little bit, which is exciting. And in case you are wondering, the secret room is still there as well. The second tip to go over is falling off of buildings and objects. Now, I wanted to do this one next because I was testing it with the little pad as well. And yes, if you're standing on it, you're able to walk straight off. So if you're in a tough situation, you can run off of it as well. I also was testing to see how close it needed to be before you would fall off. And it seems like it generally has to be mostly stopped before you try to get on, since there's no jumping. But using this to your advantage will definitely help you in a lot of situations. Any building you see around the map that does not have a railing, you are able to fall off the side and get down to a different level. This will definitely help a lot if you're trying to get away from a fight or if you're trying to engage a fight a lot faster. Now, tip number 3 is for the starting of the game. Once you get past the tutorial, you're actually going to be starting on a map that's a lot smaller than the main size of the map. Once you spawn in, you're going to be on the main map, but there's going to be a lot of areas that are blocked off to kind of keep it pretty centralized when you're learning. Another thing that's great about this place is a lot of the enemies will be a little bit easier to take out, so you can kind of get the hang of the game for the first time. Since the area is smaller, it's going to keep things closer together, and you're going to be able to learn a lot of the stuff way quicker because everything's not going to be so spread out. Another thing to look at as well is you will be able to go to the center of the map, but the Nexus boss dragon thing is not going to be in the middle. Instead, there's just going to be a little mini boss in the middle, because that is probably going to be way easier for newer players to handle. And this leads straight on to tip number 4. If you would like to practice in this area longer and you don't feel like you're ready to move on yet, the best way you can actually stay in this smaller area is to not pick up any relics. If you don't extract with any relics, it's going to keep putting you in this area until you kind of learn more and pick up relics and extract with them. So until you extract with relics, you are going to be put into this spot. So if you're a newer player and you want to get the hang of the game better, you want to learn more of the mechanics before you go into the main bigger world, I would suggest not picking up any relics, and this way you can keep spawning back into the easier map so you can learn everything a little bit better. Once you start extracting with some relics and open them up in the lobby area, you will then be taken to the full-size map. This map is going to be what we're used to from previous playtests if you have participated. Most of the things will be the same for what we're used to, but there are a few things that I have mentioned previously that will be a little different, such as moving pad areas, and you will be able to fall off of buildings. Moving on to tip number 5 with the map is there is a lot more breakable objects on the map. Previously in Misfitz, there's been a few things you can break, but not really too much you can do to interact with the environment around you. Now there's a lot more breakable things that you can actually pay attention to and destroy as you're running around. One of the main ones that you can see pretty often are dumpsters that are all around the map. Once you break these, they will give you a little bit of coins and sometimes drop some other gear as well. This is always one of those things that's not like super useful in the moment, but over time, if you break a lot of these and you're claiming them as you're running through the map, this will just build up over time and help with that residual income. So make sure you're looking all over the map. There's also fences you can break as you're walking through different pathways, and a lot of other random things to break that will just give you some extra gear and coins. Moving on to number 6, we have a speed increase. When the developers looked into it a little more, they decided that the speed was feeling a little too slow for Misfits, especially with how big the map is. It took a while to actually get around the map and get into action in some of the moments, and so they wanted to speed things up a little bit. All of the Misfits now have a base speed increase and will be moving quicker than they were previously. Some of them are not too noticeable as you're playing the character, but then when you switch to other characters like Rush, when I was playing this character, I was definitely able to feel the speed increase and it felt a lot smoother as well. So that's one thing to keep in mind as you're playing in the next playtest, that all the characters will be moving a little faster than they were previously. Moving on to number 7, we have the new lobby. You've seen this in a couple sneak peek videos previously, but I just wanted to mention again that there is a new lobby area and a lot of stuff to explore. The new relic area in the middle is definitely super awesome, and there's a lot of new buttons to click around the side of the screen as well. There's a lot of new animations, especially when you're rolling for new characters. That one has a super awesome animation that I will play on screen as I'm talking. We're also able to walk up to the shop as well, but there will be nothing for purchase yet because they're still working on that section of the game. When you're in the lobby, when there's a little notification that it wants you to click on something, it will show you a little green crystal thing spinning around. This will mean you either have something to open or upgrade in that section. Other than that, the lobby is so much bigger and awesome than the previous one, and I think this is going to be such an awesome change to interact with friends in the lobby area. Now moving on to tip number 8, and this is definitely something you do not want to forget about as well. In this new playtest, you will now be able to select your loadout for the character. I was playing around a little bit with it, and it's definitely exactly how you would think. You're able to swap through any piece of gear you have and select different ones, so this is going to be so awesome if you're trying to save your best gear. I was testing it a little bit and just clicking the empty and the best button and then going into a match, and it was working perfectly selecting the gear that I had. So the best tip for this is if you're trying to save up your gear and get the best loot possible, I would suggest saving some of your better loot and using some of the weaker ones that you're not as attached to yet. Overall, I think this is going to be one of the best changes in the playtest so far. Number 9 is another awesome one, and that is customizing your controls for the game. Now, I went in and played around with this feature for a little bit just to see everything it could do, and there is quite a bit. You were able to drag all the different joysticks around to the spots you want them to, or you're also able to reverse the controls so you can have them on the other side as well. There is also a feature where you can make the joysticks bigger or smaller, just depending on the preference that you have. You can also do this for the little bag icon as well, and you can do it for the little power-up circle too. Another cool thing is that you can have up to 5 different slots of different loadouts for your controls. So this way, if you have just a few different control styles that you like, you can select them in your different slots and switch a lot easier. And lastly, number 10, the last thing to go over is the controls and gameplay is so much smoother than it was before. If you've played in previous playtests and you don't like the game because you think that it just felt too choppy or the characters weren't moving, the aiming felt weird, that has been fixed and it is so much better now. If this is something that was turning you away from the game previously, this is something that I think you should give another chance. Another thing that's great with the smoother controls is the aiming. The aiming makes it so much better, and I feel like I'm able to hit so much more things a lot more accurately. And with all these tips, hopefully it can give you a head start and you can become a legendary Misfits player. I hope these tips will help you become a better player for the playtest. And don't forget, if you want to sign up, to go to antiherostudios.com and use code Cinder when signing up. You will receive an email and be able to download the game. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the Misfits playtest. Peace out.